Hello, guys, welcome back to my little corner of the internet. If you're new here, my name is Carol, the author, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning in back again. Today, we are going to be having a hard but necessary conversation that I feel that most of us avoid, and that is confronting the fear of being alone. That quiet fear that creeps in when the noise around you fades and it's just you and your thoughts. If you have ever filled your life with distractions, relationships, or busyness just to avoid being alone, then this video is for you. I'll be honest, I used to fear being alone. I equated being alone with abandonment, with unworthiness, and being forgotten. I remember clearly holding on to friendships that were vividly one sided, and I also kept pouring into relationships that were not growing. And I filled every free moment with something or someone just so I didn't have to sit with me, just to avoid being by myself. Being alone made me uncomfortable because it meant hearing my own thoughts, and I was afraid to hear what those thoughts had to say. But eventually, life slowed down, and I had no choice but to sit with myself. So, what happened is that some friendships were outgrown, no bad blood, just outgrowing them. And in that moment, I had no choice but to be alone, literally be alone. At first, I was so frustrated, and I didn't know how to deal with being alone because I was not used to that. But what I didn't realize earlier on is that being alone is so powerful and it's so liberating because you get to learn things about yourself. I realized that being alone didn't mean that I was abandoned, it didn't mean that I was unworthy. If anything, it was liberating to know, or rather, to get the opportunity to learn about me, to learn things about myself that I didn't even know. So, in that process, I discovered that I wasn't broken, I was just unhealed. That it also helped me realize that I wasn't unlovable, but I was just used to overgiving. I wasn't lost. I just didn't spend enough time learning who I really was without the noise. At first, being alone felt like punishment, felt uncomfortable, but it later became peace, a soft place to land, a safe space to breathe, and a place where I could hear God again and hear myself. So let's be real. Some of us fear being alone because we equate being alone with failure. If I'm alone, something must be wrong with me. We've been taught that our values come from being wanted, needed, or chosen. We don't trust ourselves to just sit in stillness, and we are scared of what might come up when we are quiet, the pain, the memories, the truth. But here's what I've learned: being alone doesn't mean that you're not loved, it simply means creating a space of clarity, healing, and alignment. So here's what being alone has taught me, and hopefully, when you embark on that journey of confronting the fear of being alone, you'll also learn some of these things. I learned to enjoy my own company. I also stopped on waiting for people to validate me. I created routines that made me feel grounded, and I learned how to pray from a real raw place, not out of performance, but from connection. And most importantly, being alone made it possible for me to love myself loudly. Now, I'll be glad to tell you that I don't fear being alone because I'm no longer a stranger to myself. So do not be scared to confront that fear of being alone. As uncomfortable as it is a necessary step in our lives, because if we succumb to the fear, we are only being detrimental to our own goal. So if you're in a season where you're feeling alone, or you feel like life is pulling you into isolation, don't run away from it. I know it's uncomfortable, I know it can feel lonely, but sometimes the isolation is divine protection. It's God saying, come back to you. is the universe saying, let me reintroduce you to yourself. You don't need to be constantly surrounded by people. You don't need noise to feel safe or worthy. Alone is not always empty. Sometimes it's sacred. So take a breath, hold space for yourself. Trust that being alone is not the end of your story, the part where you finally start to listen. Or if this video spoke to you, please let me know in the comment section. Did you ever been feared alone? If so, how did you tackle that? Remember, you're not alone in your aloneness. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it with someone whom you think needs to hear from it. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself and love yourself. Fill the cup so that you don't pour from an empty cup. Bye.